Have you ever been in a workplace where you felt like you had a great idea, but the words just wouldn't quite come out? Or maybe you've wondered why some environments feel, so stifling when it comes to sharing anything beyond a simple yes, sir. It's a pretty common experience, actually, and often it points to a specific leadership style. Today, we're diving deep into the, let's say, intricate world of autocratic leadership, and we're looking at its profound, often unseen impact on communication within organizations. Our mission for this deep dive is really to give you a shortcut to being well-informed. We're going to unpack the core communication challenges that are almost, hardwired into these autocratic environments. And then crucially, we want to arm you with practical strategies for both leaders and employees, strategies to foster healthier, more effective dialogue. And all of this comes from a truly fascinating piece of research that lays out the landscape with startling clarity. Okay, so let's unpack this then. What exactly is autocratic leadership, and why does this research suggest it creates such, significant communication barriers?
Right. So at its heart, autocratic leadership is really about centralized control. You've got one person holding all the decision-making power. Think my way or the highway, that kind of captures it. The leader retains full command, allowing very little space for anyone else's input. Now, the research does acknowledge it can look incredibly efficient, especially for hitting short-term targets. But it quickly reveals the downside. This style often actively suppresses the open exchange of ideas. It just shuts it down. It creates a rigid hierarchical structure where communication isn't really a dialogue. It's mostly a series of directives and commands flowing strictly from the top down.
Right. And here's where it gets really insightful, I thought, because the article doesn't just give us a definition. It outlines some very specific core challenges that emerge. What are those everyday realities? Like, what does it actually feel like trying to communicate in an environment like that?
Oh, it feels restrictive. That's putting it mildly. The research points to 4 key communication challenges that become really pervasive. First, you have limited feedback channels. Just think about it. A leader makes decisions completely unilaterally. They often ignore input, or worse, might even see input from their team as a direct challenge to their authority. So there's just no clear path, no open door for employees to offer ideas or voice concerns.
No channel backup, essentially.
Exactly. And second, communication quickly devolves into just communication as command. It really is a one-way street. The leader issues directives, orders, demands, and that's largely it. Employees are rarely, if ever, consulted on the how or the why. It's like trying to have a conversation with a loudspeaker. You hear it, but you can't talk back.
Yeah, that paints a picture.
Then third, and this one's a big one, there's this widespread fear of speaking up. Because of that culture of tight control and, frankly, discipline, employees become genuinely afraid. They hesitate. They hold back voicing concerns, offering a different perspective, or proposing a new idea, all out of fear of reprimand or potentially, even dismissal. And what's really insightful here, I think, is that this isn't just about silencing bad ideas. It often kills the next great idea before it's even whispered. That's a huge hidden cost.
Wow. Yeah, killing innovation before it even starts.
Precisely. And finally, all of this culminates in a profound lack of trust. When there's no open dialogue, no real feedback loop, trust inevitably erodes. It just diminishes. Employees start to feel distanced, disconnected from leadership, and that feeling leads directly to disengagement, reduced morale. It's a real downward spiral.
So, okay, if you're working in that kind of environment, or maybe even leading one, it sounds like you're facing a pretty formidable challenge.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the research doesn't just leave us hanging there, does it? It points towards solutions, or at least alternatives.
That's what's so fascinating, yeah. The research doesn't just identify the problems. It points to established leadership models that effectively flip the script on these autocratic tendencies, offer a stark contrast.
Like what? What kinds of alternative approaches are suggested? Is there actually a way to break free from this kind of rigidity?
Absolutely. The article highlights 2 key leadership models that can dramatically improve communication. The first one is transformational leadership. Think of leaders who focus on inspiring and motivating their employees, not by, barking orders, but by encouraging open dialogue, genuine collaboration, and innovation. They actively create an environment where everyone feels invited to contribute ideas, to engage in decision-making processes, and to truly share in the organizational vision without hesitation. This directly counters that one-sided, top-down communication of autocratic styles. It fosters a much more dynamic, two-way system where ideas can actually flow.
Okay, so that's about inspiration and shared vision. What's the other one?
The second model is servant leadership. This concept really gained prominence back in the 1970s. Here, the leader's main focus is prioritizing the needs of their employees. It's fundamentally about empathy, active listening, and empowering people, giving them agency. Communication in this model is characterized by real openness and mutual respect. Leaders actively encourage employees to speak up, to share their thoughts without any fear of reprisal. It stands in complete contrast to that command and control approach. It's about leading by supporting and, well, serving the team.
So these aren't just like feel-good management buzzwords then. They are actual, you could say, proven counter models to the autocratic style. And they really underscore the vital importance of open communication, mutual trust, and collaboration in building healthier, more productive work environments. And this deep dive, it isn't just about understanding the what and the why, right? It's also about the how. Our research gives us concrete strategies for both leaders and employees to actually foster more effective communication, even within environments that might still have those rigid kind of control-driven undertones.
Exactly. And that raises a really important question. Even if you're operating within the constraints of a more traditional or, let's face it, autocratic environment, what practical steps can genuinely be taken? What can people actually do? Well, for leaders, the research suggests several powerful strategies. First, encourage feedback. Even if the final decisions remain centralized, leaders can create formal, designated opportunities for feedback. Think about anonymous surveys, maybe suggestion boxes, or even specific segments in meetings designed purely for input. It's about signaling that their input is valued, even if it isn't always acted upon directly.
So creating the space for it, even if the structure is still top-down.
Precisely. Second, create a safe environment for communication. This is about psychological safety. It's a term you hear a lot now. It means employees feel genuinely comfortable expressing thoughts, asking questions, maybe pointing out potential issues without fear of negative repercussions. Now, an autocratic leader might initially struggle with this. It's counterintuitive to that style. But by consistently demonstrating openness and, crucially, refraining from punishment when someone does speak up, they can gradually build that trust.
That takes conscious effort, I imagine.
Definitely. Third, clarify expectations and be transparent. This might sound basic, but it's vital. Clear, direct communication about goals, tasks, expectations, it's crucial. It minimizes misunderstandings, and it sets a standard of openness, even if the flow of ideas is limited. It's about building clarity, which is its own form of trust. And fourth, something quite specific. Use nonviolent communication, NVC. This is a framework, really. It involves principles like empathy, expressing your own needs without resorting to blame, and making respectful requests. For a leader used to giving orders, applying NVC can soften the delivery. It makes directives sound less like commands and maybe more like collaborative objectives. It reduces defensiveness and encourages a more cooperative response.
NVC. That sounds like a significant shift for leaders, requiring a lot of self-awareness and practice. But what if you're an employee? You're trying to navigate this landscape from the other side. What can you do when communication feels like it's just going one way?
That's a great question, and the research offers very practical advice for employees, too. 1, use assertive communication. This isn't about being aggressive, it's about being clear. It means practicing how to express your concerns or ideas constructively and respectfully, allowing you to voice your needs without being confrontational or appearing to directly challenge authority. It's a fine line, but it's important.
Finding that balance.
Exactly. 2, document communications and decisions. This is maybe more pragmatic. In environments where feedback isn't always welcomed or maybe gets forgotten, having a record is crucial. A record of what was said, what was decided, when it happened. It provides accountability, clarity, and frankly, it can protect you from misunderstandings or misattributions later on. It's kind of like pragmatic self-defense.
Good point. CYA, basically.
Sort of, yeah. Third, and this is a smart psychological tactic, frame ideas as solutions. When you need to present an idea or maybe voice a concern, try not to position it as a critique or just pointing out a problem. Instead, frame your input as a concrete solution to an existing challenge the leader cares about, or maybe a way to improve an outcome they want. Leaders, even autocratic ones, tend to be more receptive to ideas that directly contribute to their goals.
Make it about helping them succeed.
That's the angle. And finally, seek peer support. Don't underestimate this. Building a network of colleagues who understand the unique communication challenges you face can provide immense emotional support. And it can also facilitate sharing strategies for effective communication. The research calls these grapevine communication channels, those informal, unofficial ways information flows. They're often vital for sanity and just surviving in really rigid structure.
The unofficial network.
Yeah. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the research really highlights that applying these strategies, especially in environments like, say, public sector organizations in India, where the study notes tight control and fear-based communication are often prevalent. Applying these can lead to significant, tangible improvements. It's about actively mitigating those ingrained communication barriers.
So ultimately, the goal here isn't necessarily to completely overturn the leadership style overnight, which might be impossible, but it's to foster healthier communication within that system, which in turn leads to better morale, maybe sparks some innovation, builds trust, even in what might seem like the most rigid, control-driven environments. It's about those small, consistent efforts that can really shift the dynamic over time. Okay, so we've unpacked the unique communication challenges posed by autocratic leadership, that fear, the lack of trust, the one-way commands. We've explored theoretical models like transformational and servant leadership as powerful counterpoints, showing a different way. And most importantly, hopefully, we've armed you with some concrete strategies for both leaders and employees to navigate and improve communication within these structures.
Yeah, I think it really shows that even in very rigid environments, it's not hopeless. By implementing targeted strategies, ones often rooted in these more empathetic and collaborative leadership models, organizations can genuinely mitigate some of the negative effects of autocratic leadership and foster much healthier interactions day to day.
So as you go about your week, maybe consider this. Beyond the traditional workplace, where else in your life? Where else might a clearer understanding of power dynamics and communication flow help you foster more open dialogue? Could be anywhere, really. And think about what small step you could take. Maybe to encourage a bit more psychological safety around you. Or just to frame an idea as a solution next time you need to give feedback. Making it easier for someone to really hear you. Just something to mull on.